Coming up this week on KISS My Kollectibles, Jason asks me not to sing the KISS Mego theme song. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and subscribe on YouTube and iTunes.
Look, it's rock and roll!
Alright, KISS Army. It's time to shout it out loud and kiss my collectibles.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of KISS My Kollectibles, your source for vinyl, toys, maybe bootlegs sometimes, and more. I am one of your co-hosts, Jason Herndon, and with me, as usual, is...
Andrew Sgambati.
That's right. And then from the land down under...
Tom Shannon. Nicholas Buckland, sorry. I get confused.
That reminds me of that the Night Flight interview when they're introducing everybody and Paul's like, Stevie Nicks.
Stevie Nicks, yeah, that's good. So we're back to discuss something other than tour books on collectibles, thank God. And well, we're going to stick to some more 70s of coin stuff, and we're going to talk about the Mego Dolls.
Yeah,
and
because that's the name.
That's right. That's the name. And
hey, before we get into the Mego Dolls, I just want to do one little caveat on the tour books. We did miss one tour book. There is a Japanese version of the Monster Tour book from 2013. So different pictures inside that you're seeing right now, and then different back cover. So I want to thank Jim Rowlands from Australia for providing those pictures. So thanks a lot, Jim.
That's right. Yeah, he posted that in our Facebook group, right?
Correct.
And
cool.
So if you're not in our Facebook group, get on Facebook and search for KISS My Kollectibles and join up and join in the fun. So
all the good stuff's here.
All the good stuff. So anyway, before we get into Migos, does anybody have anything they want to show that they've gotten recently?
I just want to show this really quickly. This is a really cool Return to KISS shirt. So there you go.
Nice.
And it's actually official, and you could purchase it on Amazon.com. And it's cool. It comes in a couple different colors. And I bought the, I think it's the Heather one, or no, charcoal maybe. I'm not really sure which. I don't know.
It's charcoal.
Yeah, I just didn't want to get just regular black because every shirt I have is black. But this is super cool, and you can get these, and it's official. And I mean, you can't see it right here, but in my office right here, my Return of KISS poster is right there. It's right there. Anyway, very cool.
All imagining.
Yeah, all imagining. You're here.
Yeah. Did you have anything, Nicholas?
The one thing I did get, and I'll show you this, because they always say one man's trash is another man's treasure. Hang on a second. So this thing, I don't know what these are because I haven't got a record player. There's this thing called vinyl, round black discs.
Yeah,
I used to put them on.
Tom
used
is
to
just...
skip a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know what they are. Apparently there's a book coming out about them. Who knows? There's this there's these little Obi things. These are quite good. I think something to do with Star Wars. Obi-Wan, just one. No, it's all right. But the reason I bought this thing was for only one little thing, which will become pride and place in my collection, will be the sticker.
Look at that. I love it. That's awesome.
It's just very cool, and it's lovely, nice and shiny. And that will be, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Probably mount it or something, or put it in a frame or something. Looks cool. Anyway, I got all that vinyl just for this little sticker.
You know what I do?
What?
Oh, do you know what I do with my stuff? What I do is I have a lot of the stickers and all the inserts were smaller, so I got like comic book sleeves with the boards and bags, and I just put like all the inserts in there. Like my love gun is in a comic book thing, then I just stick that right in the vinyl too. So that way I have all of my my stuff is protected.
Yeah, cool. Might have to do that.
On that Obi, if you on the front of that, you have the first printing of Unmasked, and it has that little bubble down there on the bottom in yellow. You see it? And it has writing inside of it. Yeah. That tells you that you get a sticker that comes with this. On the subsequent pressings of that bubble is blank.
Ooh.
So
the bubble's still there, but they've not.
How did you find that out?
I think there's some books coming out
Of course.
We might have talked about them a few times. So anyway, therockologist.com, as Andrew has on the screen right now. Pick up your copies of buy it now. Pick up your copies of the KISS LP KISS My Wax, the KISS LP Bible, over 1,800 variations put together by our very own Tom Shannon. So,
and every time you say "Kiss My Wax," Jason and I get 25 cents.
That's right, 25 cents. Okay. The only thing I'm going to show, even though I have gotten a few other things, I'm going to keep it short, is our good friends over in Europe have done this amazing book called KISS Classified.
It's
and
freaking awesome.
Yes, it's really, whoa, I forgot. Mine has all the stuff in.
Yeah,
mine
cool
still
poster.
has the poster that comes with it.
Yep.
The autographed little insert.
Oh, I don't have that.
You don't have that?
No.
Ha ha ha.
Cool.
So I pre-ordered mine back in April of this year, but it's incredible, folks.
Yeah,
quality looks amazing.
It is. It really is. So stay tuned for future episodes because one of the authors on the book is going to be on the show, and we also have a copy to give away on that show too. So stay tuned for that.
Hopefully, Andrew, because the website is a little convoluted to just say, but hopefully Andrew can throw that up on the screen for people to purchase that book, if you will. So
it is very convoluted, but there it is.
Right, but there it is right there. So, all right, Nicholas is getting close to midnight over there, so we need to get with it. So let's get into the Mego dolls. Yeah, I can't see your clock, so I can't tell.
Well, he's gonna grow all this facial hair, kind of like Teen Wolf when it's
11.
Exactly.
Yeah, 11.
So let's talk about Mego dolls.
Well, let's talk about Mego, the corporation, first before we get into the Mego dolls. 'Cause I just want to quickly cover the Mego corporation, just because they were like the action figure toy company back in the 70s. So I'm just going to read off my notes here. I did some research on this company before we rolled tape on the show today. So Mego Corporation, they were founded in 1954, and they were just like a dime store toy company. They were like selling like pellet guns and just junk. And then in 71, the company shifted directions and they started licensing action figures. So the first line of their action figures was the world's greatest superheroes. And it was the first time ever, and still in the single digits for the times this has been done, where properties from Marvel and DC were present in the same line. So world's greatest superheroes, that's what that was there. So after that, they went to celebrity dolls, they went to all kinds of stuff. They went to 8-inch dolls, and they even went to a line called Micronauts, which was 3 3/4-inch figures, which weren't popular in the early 70s. They weren't popular until Kenner did the Star Wars line in 78. Anyway, so Mego filed bankruptcy in 82, and 83 they ceased to exist. So there you go. There is your quick history lesson on Mego.
That's the name, KISS. They may look insane. KISS, if rock's your game, it's KISS.
This is KISS, each sold separately, and you can put them in any crazy pose you want.
That's the name, KISS. They may look insane. KISS, if rock's your game, it's KISS.
KISS, each 12.5-inch figure sold separately by Mego. This is KISS, each sold separately, and you can put them in any crazy pose you want.
That's the name, KISS. They may look insane. KISS, if rock's your game, it's KISS.
KISS, each 12.5-inch figure sold separately by Mego.
All right, so there was the TV ads. You got 2 different TV ads there for the Mego dolls. Same song, same nice poppy song. Don't sing it, Andrew. Don't do it. Don't do it. We know KISS. That's the name. So, but yeah, you've got that the original ad that has what I believe is the prototypes. Is that correct? You got shorter hair and all that.
Yeah, the prototypes, and that actually comes from the original A Coin U-Matic tape. So let's thank Bill Baker for giving that to us. So, so that was really cool to see, and I didn't see this. I mean, obviously, I'm a lot younger than both of you guys, or even a lot of the people that watch this. But I first saw that ad on the Kiss My Ass VHS tape, and I just thought it was the coolest thing. I thought it was the coolest thing, and the jingle, and even among like the action figure collecting community, because I'm a really big action figure collector. Even among the action figure community, people still say the first thing they say about the Mego dolls is they go, "Man, that jingle." So, and it was a really catchy jingle even for the time.
Yeah.
So
I love the pose them in any crazy position too, as well, which is ironic for collectors because it's sort of the only crazy position is sort of behind glass and never to be touched, sort of thing, hermetically sealed. I don't think any of us have ever posed them in any crazy position. But,
no. If you try to pose the damn things now, their joints break. So, right. So. They've become rather brittle over the years. So now Andrew, he likes to, as we saw on a couple of episodes ago, he likes to take those figures out of the packages, which is like sacrilegious, and stick them up on his little shelf and stand them up and put them in poses and stuff like that. Man. I'm sure when we're not on screen, he's actually having battles on his bed with them. Or something.
Yeah, it's like Spaceballs. I didn't see you playing with your dolls again, sir. It's like.
well, I'll tell you something funny. Being a kid growing up, I didn't have KISS action figures until the McFarlane ones came out. I certainly couldn't afford the Mego dolls when I was a kid. But what I used to do is I had X-Men figures, and I would just take like different X-Men figures, and I would paint them with whiteout and Sharpie and draw KISS makeup on them. And then I would have KISS concerts. So then when the McFarlane figures came out and I was like 11, I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. So what I was doing is I was building KISS stages for the McFarlane dolls. I got a cardboard, and I was stealing my parents' Christmas lights, and I was using cotton balls as fog, and I had two jeans, because what I did with one of them is I cut a hole in the back of his head, and I had a high C juice box that I would squeeze, and it would look like he was spitting blood. So that's how I would play. I played KISS concert, with those KISS figures. I wasn't really playing wasn't really playing G.I. Joe. I was playing KISS concert.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question? What other toys were you guys into? As a background, what were you into about 8 or 9? What did you play?
I was just gonna kind of expound upon Andrew's story, Nicholas, and say I think that I've seen from our personal interactions that we were probably fans of the same stuff. How Andrew took his little figures and whited out stuff and drew KISS makeup. Even though I didn't have KISS action figures, I didn't have the Megos when I was 8 or 9. I was. I was in its very early 80s, but I had an incredible He-Man collection.
Nice.
Oh, yes, that was mine, Masters of the Universe.
Right, Masters of the Universe. And I sure was not whiting out their faces and drawing KISS makeup on them. No, so He-Man and
you got Voltron there, right?
I got a Voltron here. I don't know if we can get to it.
And that's the original. That's the die-cast one, right? That's the Go line.
I can't get over to it. No, I wish it was, but it's not. No,
it's the reissue.
I've got a reissue from '97, I think. Of Voltron.
It's the Trendmaster reissue, because there's
the Trendmaster's reissues. That's right.
There's a reissue that came out from Toynami, and then they just released one from Matty Collector, which is not very good. Doesn't stand up.
I think they release them every year now. It seems like I was just in Walmart the other night, and there's Voltrons on the shelf right now.
That's the one I got. That's from the Legendary Defender, the Netflix show. I mean, we're getting off topic. I could
way off topic.
I could do a whole show on action figure collecting.
Did you guys get 2 Voltrons? One where it was the lots and lots of cars that made a Voltron, and then there was the one that was the lion. It just switched over. I always remember that in the cartoon. There's 2 Voltrons.
One. I'll go off a little bit here, just very, very briefly on this one, just because I think it's super interesting. Maybe some fans out there will be interested about it too. But the original Voltron, the Go Lion, it was actually 3 different Voltrons, and the Lion robot was going to be the 3rd one. So if you look at the original packaging from the original import, from the original Lion Voltron, it said Voltron 3 on it.
Correct.
So,
that's correct.
And then when they released the other Voltrons, they just weren't popular at all, and it was just very, very badly. So they released one more Voltron, which is like a Land Voltron, which is the one that you're talking about, and then they never released the actual first one in America.
That's right.
So basically, after they did that, they redid all the packaging. And it was just there is only one Voltron, but originally the line was going to be 3 different Voltrons, and the Lion Voltron just ended up being the most popular one.
And that was from Japan.
Correct.
And right. And so if you're looking for an original, one of the the early 80s or the mid 80s releases, you're probably looking at getting Voltron 3 from Matchbox.
Correct.
And which is the die-cast version. So we were way off topic.
But I think it kind of is topic, because it kind of shows that how even as kids, even before, even if it was KISS wasn't the starting point, it's that same behavior. Like I always say that even though I do, so at the moment I collect KISS and I have everything KISS, which is like a catalog. with my Masters of the Universe.
And that's a really great shirt too.
It is. Thank you.
Yes, that is a good shirt.
But with the Master of the Universe, I used to do that, and then I used to get the backs of the boxes and cut out the little pictures and stick the blue tack them to my wall. So I had, even if I didn't have the complete collection at home, I had all the complete ones that were there, and they were all, obviously all in order. So it was just this obsessive compulsive behavior that, that turned into the person I am today.
It's
exactly. It's the exact same thing, same behavior as a 10-year-old.
Exactly. It's exactly the same.
You know,
and I've even done the same thing with He-Man collecting as I did with KISS collecting. At one point in time, I sold off my KISS collection, which I've discussed in the past many times, in the late 90s, and then 10 years later I started collecting again. Of course, I had all of a huge He-Man collection when I was a kid, and of course those were played with. But then once I got a little older and got rid of those, as I got even older, once I stopped collecting KISS, I said, you know what? I'm going to start collecting He-Man again. So after I sold my KISS collection to Peter Arquette, I started. I mean, eBay was in its infancy in the late 90s, and I was buying He-Man out the wazoo.
Do they hold their value, or are they expensive?
They do hold their value. Yeah.
Box holds their value big time. I mean, you're going to pay $1,500 for an original 8-back, He-Man.
Wow.
He-Man or
yes, but do you have
Trapjaw or Skeletor or something like that.
But do you have Wonder Bread He-Man?
No, that's the rarest. Yeah.
and what
I had Battle Armor, the one where you hit the chest.
Battle Armor.
Ooh, yeah, I had that in Skeletor. But there's also like Matty Collector, the one that put out Voltron. There's also a line called Masters of the Universe Classics, which is a subscription.
I had all of them. I had every one.
Oh, wow.
Well, no. They're new figures based on the
new ones?
Yeah, they're new figures based on the cartoon likeness. So the line is called Masters of the Universe Classic. So if you had Skeletor, your Skeletor figure didn't look like your Skeletor on the cartoon show, and you're like, why? So
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
What I had, which started coming out, I believe, in maybe the late 90s, but probably the early 2000s, was the commemorative editions. And they were perfect replicas of the original versions, carded and everything, and they came in a blister or a bubble pack box. So you had the boxed He-Man or whatever it was, Trapjaw or Many-Faces or whatever, in the card with the original card back and the original comic book and everything. And then it was inside this display box, and I think they sold them for like $20 a piece or something like that. And there was a line of about 30 of them, classic figures.
I remember.
And I had all of those. They were great.
I remember those, but these ones from Matty Collector, it's subscription based, so it's not available in stores. So you have to, I guess you pay a subscription fee and then you get a bunch of them. But did you guys have any of these?
And then I have
my brother. My brother was 5 years younger, so they became popular. Probably more of his. Yeah, I'm probably a bit old for those ones.
I was a bit older for those. But, on He-Man, Dark Horse Comics did all of these books.
Ooh, nice.
This is the complete guide to the classic animated adventures, and these things are so detailed. But,
the character that makes me laugh the most, as if, over muscly men already, but you've got Fisto, that one with the giant. That still makes me laugh.
So here is the complete character world compendium, and this has just
cool.
everything.
How the hell are you married? How? I don't even how.
Yeah.
But anyway, they've done 4 or 5 of these where they've put all of the mini comics in a a large compendium book, and they've got all of the action figures. They've got all of the the episodes guides. I mean, it's ridiculous, but they're incredible. They're only like $25.
These days, I also collect the 5.5-inch figures for the whole Doctor Who range too.
Look at that. Look at that. I'm a huge Marvel Legends collector. So I just saw Thor Ragnarok on Thursday night, which was fantastic. And I went out, and I wasn't going to get any Thor Ragnarok figures, but I enjoyed the movie so much that I got a 2-pack of Thor and then Valkyrie, because I absolutely loved Valkyrie in the movie. And yeah, so I did go and purchase that. But they usually, my Marvel Legends, I usually only collect X-Men figures because I'm a huge X-Men fan. And they're releasing a new X-Men line next year with a Apocalypse Build-A-Figure. Anyway, you guys want to talk about KISS?
Well, yeah, in just a second, I was going to say if I was rich and had unlimited space, I would have a He-Man collection again as well. Voltron, the whole 9 yards.
So the last thing I'll mention about Voltron is you saw the Legendary Defender ones that's
Yes.
out right now, which I have, which is on the other side of my desk. I've showed it to you before. But next year they're releasing a classic set of the Lions. So I would highly recommend looking into those because. It's
I said, they've done commemorative sets many times.
The only one
of die-cast lines.
Yeah, this isn't die-cast. This is plastic. So if you look up the Matty Collector Voltron, it's a 24-inch Voltron. It's huge, and they have pilots that fit inside the actual Lions. And they made a Sven figure for the first time. They've never made a Sven figure. He's the original. But anyway, so look into that, and because the new lines are going to be released actually, because the ones that Matty Collector did in 2012, they're not good. The legs are spring loaded, and the Voltron doesn't stand up on its own.
Yeah. I found that these Trendmasters, the plastic one that Trendmasters did too. They did a die cast on plastic. The plastic is off; it's not very good. But the die cast was a pretty good representation of the Matchbox one that came out.
Yep.
But anyway,
did you guys ever do Transformers?
Oh, yes. Yes. Not as extensively as I did Masters of the Universe, but yes, I love the Transformers line too. That was right up my age group. Yeah.
So here's what I did that kind of ties everything back together. So when I was like 11 or 12, I'd obviously been collecting action figures for years and years and years, so I had quite a collection. But when I was building KISS concerts, obviously the KISS concerts needed an audience. So I had all my Star Wars and X-Men figures became the audience at the KISS concert. And what I was doing, you had all my friends, where some of them were playing sports or whatever. But what I did is I built a mock-up arena that KISS could play at. And I had all the rigging, and I did everything. I had, like, the Christmas lights went up all the levels so people could see where their seats were. And so I built an arena, and then I had KISS play at that arena.
And if you put a little suit on Biggs, he could be Bill O'Coin, kind of like
that's
with
true.
The mustache. It's like...
but what I did is my original line of Ghostbusters, they were the roadies. So like Peter Venkman was out there working the soundboard, and then you had a guitar tech and a drum tech, and then what I did is I remember I had like a spare little 13-inch TV, and then I put the 13-inch TV behind the stage, and that was the screen. And then and then I had I thought I was so cool. I had my KISS logo. It would go KISS 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 K. Because what I did is I found a logo. I found a print of the KISS logo on my computer, and then I turned it backwards, and then I pasted it on like a piece of cardboard with tinfoil. And then I poked the lights through, so that way when I took the piece of cardboard out, all I saw was the KISS logo and lights. And that's how I.
What an imaginative little boy, huh?
I had literally no friends.
So now that everybody hates us and we haven't, hardly talked about it at all, just tell us in the comments wherever you're seeing this at, whether it's Facebook or YouTube or wherever. Just tell us what, other kind of crap you collected when you were a kid, because this would, it's too bad we don't have Tom on here, because to have Tom's perspective as, 10 or 11, 12 years older than Nicholas and I, it'd be interesting to
and 30 years older than me.
Right. It'd be interesting to get his take on what he was thinking when the Megos come out in the late 70s. So, because I'm sure he wasn't collecting He-Man like we were in the early 80s and wishing we could have the Mego dolls.
I always think of Tom as like our older brother. Like, we're collecting these things, and Tom's like, "What the fuck you doing with that?" I was like, he always, because if you look at Tom's collection, it's all music based. So Tom, I mean, if you look at it, Tom is probably actually the coolest. The coolest.
That's not true, Andrew.
No. I mean, most of it. I mean, he's got an extensive KISS collection, but
no. You must not looked at the photos that he posts when he cleaned up his room.
Well, I know he's got all that Star Wars stuff. I know that.
There's all that Star Wars stuff. There's all those lunch boxes. There's, I mean, he's got more Beanie Babies than we have KISS stuff combined. So,
I just was saying that he's probably, the if you look at social standings, he's probably the coolest one of us. Like, we're sitting here playing with He-Man and Thundercats, and he's got mostly music as his collection at that point. So
Thundercats was another one. Lion-O. I had all Panther.
I fucking love.
We've got to stop. We've got to stop. This is the wrong podcast.
Yeah, it totally is.
All right, so Megos.
Mego.
When did you get your first Megos? Nicholas?
Mine were as everything. Mine were a much later one. I think they were part of a really big thing I bought off a guy who is in Sydney, and I bought all this cool 1980 stuff. So it was almost an afterthought because he had the Vitabrits box and all the show bags and all these 1980 stuff, and I kind of went, oh yeah, and the Megos as well. I'll take those. They didn't excite me at the time, but it wasn't until I got them home that I was really excited. Actually, they're really cool. I love them. Yeah, but they've still got the old. I think one of them's got the price tag on it from the.
Ooh, so you got them boxed. Show them.
store.
Show them. Let's see.
Oh,
Look at
okay,
that.
yeah. Very nice. I love all the stuff on the back too. The little pieces of the drums and there's a little bass drum and all that kind of stuff.
It's a snare drum, but so what's cool about those boxes is the boxes are exactly the same. There's no variations in any of the boxes. So each guy had the same box.
Except for the number's got a sticker on it at the top, a black sticker that sits on there too, which changes. Yeah.
But yeah,
and they stack very nicely together too when you're putting them away.
Look at that.
It's actually stacked the two pieces.
And that's probably the nicest boxed collection I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
So I think they look really, really cool. I've never had them in boxes. I got my first set of Mego dolls, which I since sold when I sold my collection. I think I got them in like 2003 or 2004. I got a set on eBay, and I remember them coming, and I remember opening them with my mom, and she was like looking at them, and what's funny about her is she was into like a lot of disco music, and she was like, she was the record buying public in the 70s when KISS was around, and she would always tell me, she's like, I don't remember any of this stuff. And then I would show her like, well, you watch the American Music Awards every year. You don't remember seeing KISS? She goes, yeah, I think I changed the channel. But I remember opening them up as I was 15 or 16 at the time, and I just remember having them. But I'm going to replace them pretty soon. Just
but
because...
you know what I'm finding through the book research, and this goes right across that whole 1978 timeline. That whenever they released a product, be it like the trash can or anything else, the school bag, their bedfellows weren't any of the other bands. Usually, it was always the Muppet Show, Popeye, KISS, and a few Marvel things of the same range. So there'd be a trash can of each of those ones, or the red 1978 school backpack. I mean, it's not Fraggle Rock. Muppet Show, and a few others. You might get that. Sometimes there's a Laverne and actually there's quite a few Laverne and Shirley's. Chips, is that the Eric Estrada show? Yeah. So you're actually not getting. There's very few of them actually have, unless there's a lot of Welcome Back Kotter. Unless you have the Bee Gees, there's pretty much no other bands who are kind of doing that in those ranges, or at least they hadn't sold any licenses at that time.
Which we think is great now, but at that time, that's what killed them. That's why you went from them being an outcast band in 76, 77, and then you had children showing up to the shows in 79. I mean, KISS have talked about that, in almost every documentary, but it's when they were gearing all that towards kids. But I'll tell you something, because they marketed it like that. That's how I got into KISS, because
same here.
I had Batman and Superman comics growing up, and then I had the KISS comic, and it was a Marvel comic. So I thought there was like X-Men, Daredevil, and KISS. I didn't know that they were a band. I had no idea.
Well, as I've explained many times, I mean, music was the first thing, with KISS. Actually, the visual was the first thing for me. I saw them, and I wanted to have something that had them on it. So my parents bought me a record, which was the easiest thing to obtain at the time. And this would have been in the very, very late 70s. And it was Destroyer. And of course, I put that on my little record player, kitty record player that I had. And so music really was the thing that sustained my fandom with the band. But at being a young child and wanting to have something with them on it, once I found out that things came out like the color forms and the rub and play kit, if I ran across those as a 5-year-old, I wanted to have that stuff too. So it just, it just built upon it's like, wow, they're a band. These guys are real. They look like they're cartoons, but they're real, and they play music and they sing this stuff. And of course, in my head, they're on that record dressed up playing that music.
I thought that
Of
too.
course,
my mind.
yeah. That's
Right, and I've got that album cover, and I've got this rub and play kit, and now I want these Mego dolls that I know exist, which I didn't obtain until the later '80s, So, and mine came through, as far as obtaining them, came in little steps, because in the later '80s, I was still very young, 12, 13, 14 years old, didn't have a lot of disposable income, so we would hit a lot of yard sales here at home, and I remember finding my first, I think it was Paul doll at just some lady's house that my girlfriend at the time was friends with, and we were over at her house, and she had all of these dolls, like a ton of dolls, and stuck in with those dolls was this little Paul Stanley.
Well, Barbie needed a boyfriend, they're tired of Ken, so Paul Stanley. There you go.
And so, I asked her if she'd be willing to sell it, and I think she sold it to me for like $20 or something like that, and
nice.
And so, but I just built mine over the years.
That's a good segue as to what we want to mention next. Let's talk about how these dolls were made, or let's talk about a little bit of how they were produced. Sure. Originally, when the Mego Corporation bought the license, which I don't have any of the dollar figures, how much the KISS license cost, but I'm assuming it was quite a hefty dollar figure, especially in those days, because the original prototypes, which I don't have any photos of, I've never seen any photos of that. The original prototypes, all 4 members had the same head sculpt and just different makeup application on them. So, and I'm getting all this information secondhand, but KISS and then Gene in particular pushed to get each guy their own different head sculpt, and the original prototype of Gene didn't have his tongue out, so originally they were going to have all 3 guys the same, and then they were going to do a sculpt for Gene with his tongue out, and that wasn't good enough for them, so they wanted each guy to have their own head sculpt. So over the years, people have taken these dolls apart and they've done things with them. They've determined, because if you take the Paul doll apart and you take his hair out, he's got a painted in hairline. The head sculpt for Paul is the same head sculpt for the Captain and Tennille figure.
Right.
So the Captain is.
I've
Paul
seen
Stanley.
people actually remove the makeup on them all as well with a bit of what have they used, like nail polish remover as well.
Yeah.
So I've seen photos of them with no makeup as well.
Yeah, so a lot of our information comes from the Mego Museum, which is megomuseum.com, which has a ton of information on the Mego Corporation and has a little feature on KISS. But so if you see that, Paul is the only one that has a hairline in there, yes, because basically the hairline, it would be painted brown for the Captain and Tennille figure. So that Paul's there, and then this was just in the last 5 or 6 years. Some people think that the Lex Luthor figure is Peter Criss. So they say that they had extra, or they just overproduced Lex Luthor. So they say if you remove the makeup on Peter Criss, you would get the Lex Luthor. But then there are people arguing, and we're going to get into action figure territory here, people arguing that says, well, if they were producing the Mego line for the Superman movie, which also came out in '78, that they wouldn't have any leftovers. They wouldn't have any leftovers because the KISS line and the Superman movie line came out around the same time. I actually think the Superman line came out in probably '79, early '79. But if you wanted to research this, you want to take a look, the only movie likeness of Christopher Reeve Superman was the actual Superman doll. All the other likenesses, the Jor-El and the Lex Luthor, were comic book ones. So anyway,
right. So they didn't have the Marlon Brando version.
Correct. There was no Marlon Brando, and there was no who's the actor that played Lex Luthor in the original Superman movie? I can't remember his name.
Gene
Hackman. So there was no Gene Hackman and no Marlon Brando likeness. So anyway, Paul is the Captain from Captain and Tennille, and Peter is Lex Luthor from the Superman line.
Rumored.
But people have done side by side, and it's almost exact. But again, limited sculpting techniques.
What was the Ace head?
Well, I was just going to mention that the Ace and Gene heads were actually sculpted for the KISS dolls.
And, you can tell when you look at it, that it definitely has a much stronger likeness to Ace in my opinion, when you look at it closely,
Yeah, I
than
agree with
Peter and Paul does to Peter and Paul.
Yeah, I agree.
For sure.
I agree with you. And obviously, Gene was done because Gene has his tongue out. So,
and as we know, Peter gave Ace a little head in his book, but I think we're talking different.
Jeez. So, Nicholas, since you got boxed versions, are they skinny or muscle bodies?
So that's the question. When I rescued these today from storage, I was actually trying to work out how I would know without, I suppose I could look inside, but I've never opened these. This should come out okay.
Well,
oh no!
Oh my god!
Open a box on camera. Hang on, it should be right. There's no tape on it.
So,
but I won't. Actually, I shouldn't have pulled out Peter because
I was just going to tell you not to pull out Peter because Peter is only muscle version.
Right.
Yeah. Cool. I will do. Keep talking.
I believe mine, which I did not when I was rebuying them. I did not pay any attention to that. And this is a weak part of my collection. I really need the boxed Megos. I don't have them. I have them individual. And they were some of the first things that I started buying when I started recollecting in the late 2000s. I started with 8 tracks and I was like, well, I might as well get the Mego dolls. And so I have a mixed set.
It
I'm
looks
not
like
too sure what
it looks like the skinny version. Just
Right.
It looks like a skinny version.
Yeah.
So
I believe I have a skinny Paul and a skinny Ace and a muscle Gene and of course muscle Peter.
If you put them next to each other, you could tell the difference, bar none, who's a muscle and who's a skinny. So
here's a muscle Gene and
a
skinny Paul.
Yeah. So you could definitely tell. So all the skinny bodies. Do you know where the skinny bodies came from?
Where?
The skinny bodies are all Sonny Bono bodies.
Really?
Yes. So they all came from Sonny Bono.
Where'd you get that info?
Megamuseum.com.
Thank you.
Megamuseum.com. So yeah.
So and I also noticed that on the backs, on the skinnies, there's no information. But when you on the muscle versions, you've got it says Mego Corp, 1977, made in Hong Kong, or at least on Gene it does. Can you see that?
I can.
Yeah.
So really, if you made your Cher doll have sex with your Gene doll, she's kind of really having sex with her ex-husband.
They're not anatomically correct, so
okay.
But yeah, so it's cool. But I mean, there are. I mean, it's a lot of action figure companies repaint and reuse molds all the time. I mean, it was really huge with Kenner with those Batman figures in '92 and '93. But
even the early Obi-Wans were all old action figures. I think I forgot what they were called, but Obi-Wan looked nothing like Obi-Wan Kenobi. It was just a guy with a white beard, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you got that telescoping lightsaber, you could make several mortgage payments with that.
Yeah, exactly.
I
don't know about mortgage payments in Australia.
I'm not talking about Section 8 housing either. But
all right, next. What else we got on them?
But yeah, I mean that's really all the information I have on them. I mean, a lot of the nixed things that were going to be on there, they wanted to have painted chest hair on them, but that was deemed too lewd for action figures to have painted on chest hair. So I mean, can you imagine? Now we have basically naked women action figures, but back then you couldn't print chest hair on them. So but yeah, none of them have chest hair on them. And I know we don't really talk about unofficial or unlicensed merchandise, but throughout the 90s,
we need to mention that.
There are versions of Eric Carr and Vinnie Vincent that people made.
Right. And some of them are well done.
Some of them are well done. I used to have an Eric Carr one.
If you can dig up some photos of those, throw them up there, just so people know. We just want, we want them to know for sure that they're unofficial.
I've definitely seen fake boxes too, so watch out for those.
Yes,
especially they're a lot shinier and the colors are way off. Like and not fade. Like mine are way off because they're faded. Each one's a slightly different coloring just because of time and sun. But you can see ones that there's some ones that just look way too. It's a lot like they've been saturated. The colors are way too much.
Yeah. I did go through, eBay, and I bought several original boxes. I have, these have the, store. I think it says $7 written in Sharpie or magic marker here. And I was going to just put my dolls in it. But the problem, is every time I buy these, either they don't have the little insert that they set in there, or the bottoms and the tops are ripped off and all kinds of stuff. So you just need to break down and actually buy a nice set,
once I get my my second set of dolls, I would not mind getting a reproduction box for a reproduction price. I'm talking like $10 a box or less. I would do that. I think Nicholas froze there. Check out that.
Yeah. Painful expression on my face.
Yeah, man. So, so let's mention the Figures Toy. What's it called? Figures Toy Company.
Figures Toy Company. Yeah, that's correct.
They've done a lot of reissues of KISS. Or not, they've done a reissue of KISS action figures, and then they've built on that line and done all of these new lines, Dress to Kill and all this stuff. And I meant to get mine out, and they've done them in 8-inch and 12-inch figures, and I'm sure most everybody is well aware of them. But I just happen to have a Paul sitting here with me.
Oh yeah, look at that! You can barely see because of the reflection. That's the 8-inch version.
Yeah. I didn't buy any of the 12-inch versions because they are super expensive.
I mean,
there's a lot of them. So.
When you see them side by side, they're definitely not identical, but they're very. I thought they were very lovingly created in the spirit of the Mego dolls. Anyway,
I agree totally.
I think they were great. Some of the ones got a bit weirder later on, where they were. In the later series, around about Sonic Boom and Monster, they stopped making the bigger and smaller heads. So they only made the one-sized heads, the 12-inch heads, and they seem to be sticking them on the 8-inch bodies.
Yes.
which looks really weird, except it's probably accurate for Tommy Thayer. But they do start looking really weird, and the quality really drops off near the end. But those early ones are great. And Dress to Kill, I believe Andrew has a Dress to Kill one there.
Yeah, hold
on. I want to talk about that line first because I just kind of want to echo what Nicholas said about how they were lovingly created. I mean, when they first came out, people were like, those look like shit. And I always go back. I'm like, this is what they would look like in the 70s. It's like how it's like how people are bitching about the figures that I opened up on the one of the earlier episodes rather, of the little 3 3/4-inch figures. I mean, they look like they did in the 70s. So they produced Love Gun in 12 and 8-inch, and then the next set was Sonic Boom. Then they did the first album, and then they did Monster. I might have gotten the order mixed up, but those first 4 lines, they all used the same head sculpts. They didn't do new head sculpts. They obviously did a new head sculpt for Tommy and Eric, but they were all using the same head sculpts. Once the Alive version and then the Dress to Kill version came out, a guy by the name of Danny Farrow started doing the head sculpts, and the head sculpts were significantly improved. So if you look at the original ones, if you look at just look at the first album one, and then you look at one of the head sculpts that Danny Farrow did, it was just freaking fantastic. So.
And they re-released a whole bunch of them. So there was some of the ones they weren't happy with. There's actually newer versions of the first figure set. So there's a new Love Gun one. I think there's about 3 of them. You'll find that on everythingkiss.com, of course.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, so there's actually the new sculpts of a couple of figures. I think might be a Peter and a Paul.
Yes.
I can't remember.
So I mean, so these are the Dress to Kill dolls.
And they've redone them.
And these are my favorite. When I first saw these, I knew I had to have them, and they're the only ones I have of the reissue ones. But I mean, if you look at Peter's face on there, I mean, that's freaking dead nuts on Peter Criss. So it looks great. And then so I'll show Ace. Ace looks great too, and he looks just like he did in the album cover of Dress to Kill. And you got Gene and bonus clogs. So there you go.
I love the makeup on that Gene. It's got that really thin kind of pointy one from that album.
And then you got Paul.
Hold Gene back up and hold it steady and still and let it focus.
I just like the makeup on that's cool.
Yeah.
That's that where he just had that little thin bit at the bottom. He did wasn't going all the way down.
They all look really good. And if you're on Facebook, look up Danny the Pharaoh or look up the Pharaoh. I mean, he does a lot of action figure sculpts and a lot of likenesses. Really, really, really amazing work. So
we might also pop up here the comparisons between the first and second versions of their head sculpts as well.
Do that, Andrew.
I will.
The figures line.
I will. So I think he did that, and then Figures Toy Company didn't release a new line for a while. then they put out Destroyer and Dynasty, which Danny is not doing the head sculpts for those.
Dynasty's not out yet.
Dynasty's not out. No.
No.
Destroyer's out.
3 years. Yeah.
Right. Destroyer's out. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Nicholas.
No, I was just gonna say there's been a few complaints about the quality of Destroyer.
Yep.
I've heard the same.
No variants anymore either.
No
so
variants.
like we were getting lots of variants for a while, and now Destroyer's got no variants. I think.
Yeah, that's too bad because I resigned myself, that I was just going to get the 8-inch sets because you could get the 8-inch sets. I would buy them from Peter Arquette or wherever you get kissmuseum.com for $100 for a set of 4 or $120, and he would have, in whatever it was, he would include the variant that came with whichever set, Hotter Than Hell, I think, some variants, some Blood Genes and stuff, because the 12-inch figures are very expensive.
Almost as expensive as a vintage set.
Right. So I wasn't buying those, but I still need to get the Destroyer, but that's if I can get them, because I guess they're sold out or something.
Well,
but,
they just don't look good. I mean,
Right.
I understand that they're trying to echo what these dolls would have looked like in the 70s, but I'm telling you, these Dress to Kill dolls are fucking awesome, and
They
the
are
Alive
awesome.
dolls, the Alive dolls are awesome as well too.
I agree.
I just didn't think that the Destroyer ones looked good, and I thought for sure that when I heard about the Destroyer ones, I thought they were going to release Paul and Peter variants. Paul's rock and roll over suit and Peter's short sleeve suit. I go, easy. I mean, you're basically just all you're doing is just using less material.
Well, obviously there's a lot of unsold stuff because you probably see lots and lots of box sets and packaging with them. Like I think within about, I think I went on one day and there was at least 7 or 8 different box sets where they've got 8-inch Paul Monster with 12-inch Paul Monster in a box set.
Yep.
You've got all the Pauls from all the range, all the Genes from all the range. You've got like Just to Kill sets. You got they're basically just all the old stuff is being repackaged. There was a Santa one as well.
Well, I mean that probably leads to why quality has dropped off and there's no variants. It's like, look, let's just make and they're probably going to be even harder to obtain once because they're probably making way less of them, and they're just getting them out there to get the hardcore guys want to buy these to complete the sets, and then we're just not gonna put more into it.
I mean, I thought they were cool. I thought they just released too many too soon, and I hope that the little 3 3/4-inch ones don't die the same, because I mean they put out Love Gun, obviously. I opened them on the show. Then they did Dynasty, and now they did Unmasked. So I hope that those Biff Bang Pow ones continue, because I would like little figures. I tell you, I didn't like the Dynasty ones. I mean, we talked about this on a previous episode because the Ace one has like a chip on his face, a lot of ones that I've seen. But if you get a good set and you put all 4 of them together, they look fucking cool, man. They just do.
Yeah. I have none of those. I've bought none of those, and
I didn't like the likeness.
I really need to get them.
Yeah, you can get them at like FYE or stuff like that.
Yeah.
So just look around, and with Toys R Us going bankrupt, maybe you'll be able to get a good set at Toys R Us.
That's cool. So what?
I was gonna say, I was gonna make fun of Toys R Us a little bit. I mean, it shouldn't be called Toys R Us. It should be called Some Toys, Sometimes, Maybe. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I collect the Star Wars Black Series, which are 6-inch figures. It's supposed to be super ultra detailed. So I went on Force Friday to go get new Star Wars toys because I wanted to get. They released a new 6-inch Darth Vader and a new 6-inch Stormtrooper, and I wanted to get Old Man Luke. And I got to Toys R Us, and they had almost nothing. And I was the third one in line. So it wasn't like they had been sold out. They just didn't get a whole lot of stuff. And I was like, this is why people are pissed off about it. So I ended up, I had to go to Target, which was across the street, to get a Darth Vader. And then that was it. That's all I got. So shame.
What toy stores are left after Toys R Us go?
That's it.
There's no. That's it, isn't it?
And there's probably some regional stores around, I would imagine. But I guess it'll be Walmart and Target.
Yeah, Target and Kmart have them here, but not. Yeah, we Toys R Us sort of. I think this may have already folded in Australia. It was brief, but
so, I mean, I went to Target yesterday or 2 days ago, and I tell you, I haven't been to Target in a while, but I went there and I thought that the action figure aisles looked awesome, and they actually had stuff. Because there was a while where there was just like junk there, but like I went and they had a full display for Thor Ragnarok. They had a nice Star Wars display. They had stuff there. It wasn't like they had nothing. They actually had stuff. So, but that's why that people just don't go to Toys R Us. I mean, the specialty shops. Like there's a little comic shop by me too that has all the stuff that you need. So
right. Yeah, there's all kinds of regional shops like that have that kind of stuff. You guys still have Kmart's in Australia?
Yeah.
I think
we got
it's nearly dead here.
Yeah.
You know, they're closed everywhere.
As it should be.
Yeah.
So,
Well, our major chain's a store called Maya, which is just everything from clothing to like almost like a Walmart, but
right.
probably not as big as that. But their Star Wars thing was, I mean, I don't collect them, but those Black Series things looked amazing. They just had just walls of them, and people just grabbing them off the shelves. Yeah,
Wow.
I remember that.
And you guys also have it's also down there that's big as a Bunnings warehouse.
The hardware store. Yeah, the hardware.
Yeah,
that's
Bunnings
massive,
warehouse. There's a guy that I follow on YouTube. He's a big he's a cosplayer, and he's always talking about, oh yeah, purchased this from Bunnings warehouse. And I'm like, the hell is Bunnings? I'm like, what is this? And then he also talks about Big W a lot.
Oh yeah, they're kind of like a 70s store, which is they're still kicking around, but not as big as Target and Kmart. Yeah, they're the two big ones. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So again, I mean, we totally went off the rails on this one, but
it's interesting,
I think KISS fans will relate to all this kind of stuff. Where do you buy your toys from? What did you play with as kids? This is a perfect KISS thing.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So hopefully, we'll get a few people complain, but hopefully they'll see that it all
complaining.
There's always people who complain, but hopefully we'll get some people that understand, that we're just having a conversation, because we didn't pre-discuss hardly any of this stuff. So it's it's interesting.
We never do that.
No.
We always like to just roll tape. And here's one thing that I wish that they would have made, and I still don't understand why they haven't made this. Why hasn't a toy company released like a super detailed or something super cool, like a stage that you can build? Like you can build like pieces of a stage. I mean, every KISS stage that's come out is like a piece of cardboard and one light and a speaker. I'm like, how come someone hasn't, done something cool?
Yeah, I agree.
I know the Alive set, the Alive figures that came up by McFarlane, which we'll probably talk about those on a future show. They came with those little amps and the candelabra and stuff like that. But when they did the box set,
the
of creatures,
one had that.
Well, no, but that's Metallica stage. They just reused the Metallica and Justice for All stage on
correct.
The creatures and the Alive. I mean, Peter Criss didn't play double bass ever. And the Eric Carr set, it was not. I mean, Eric Carr played concert toms. It was just Lars. All they did is they just took the stuff that they did for Metallica and they did it for, KISS. And even when they released the Motley Crue box set, they did the same thing. And they just painted it black.
Yep.
He's going to be. You'll know this as being playing the drums of Peter Criss in the band. Did Peter ever have the two bass drums set up?
Never.
I can't even remember.
Never
Even just had them as showpieces.
No, his whole drum set was a showpiece. I mean, he basically, only played a portion of that. And my favorite Peter Criss moment is his drum solo in the reunion tour. He's like just testing everything out. Like he's just
noise does this make?
Yeah, I'm like, are you a Guitar Center? He's just testing everything out. But anyway, so I always thought that was a missed opportunity. Like there are
well,
cool...
I mean, somebody has to invest in the license and care enough to put that kind of I mean, there's money, in development and all that stuff, and you have to will it recoup its investment.
I get that, but McFarlane Toys produced like Spawn Alley, which was basically an alley with garbage. And they sold that. Why didn't they do like a KISS stage? Can you imagine if a KISS stage came out in '97 when like right before Spencer's killed everything? That would those original figures originally sold like hotcakes, and they sold so well that they were overproduced and they're worth nothing now. But I mean, can you imagine at that time? That would have been the perfect supplement to for those figures.
I think it was also a time where the completist collectors thought there was not that much stuff out, so you would collect all those and still have a complete KISS collection. You're getting to that point now. There's been so much stuff out there that I think now where it's gone to is people are either vintage or they're now cherry picking stuff they like, and there's very few people I know actually who are trying to have a complete collection anymore.
No,
I
would kill myself. I cherry pick a few of the coolest items, but I'm pretty much a vintage collector. Like I got the lunchbox and I have a super nice trash can. But I'm a magazine collector, I'm a vinyl collector, and I'm a recordings collector. That's
I think you've just recently went through an epiphany, right, Nicholas, where you've decided to sell off a lot of your stuff and just focus on vintage.
I mean, I got about 16 or 17 boxes. Like at one point, I was kind of thinking, I'll be the person who has. And I actually had a moment when I started to set up my KISS room. I put it all out, and it was just so much stuff, and I was just looking at it, kind of going. I actually sat there, had it finished, and kind of went, I actually don't like this. It was something really strange. Like I looked at it all and went, it's just too much crap. It was just everywhere, and every shelf was packed with so much stuff I couldn't even look at it. And I just had one of those moments. So now I really only take care of of the vintage stuff. Hang on a sec. Wiped some sweat off my head. Oh, what's this? Here's another bit.
Nice.
That's my sweat cloth. I only do vintage, so
There's vintage sweat on there too.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, what I want to circle back to really quick, and this mentions you, Nicholas, quite a bit. When you were mentioning all those the Vitabrits and the show bags, have you ever watched any of those commercials for that vintage stuff?
I have seen some of those ones. What do they have? I'm trying to remember. There was a show. There was definitely a show bags ad.
There was
I've seen
show
some
bag,
really
Vitabrits.
Terrible. Yeah.
There was there was the makeup kit, which was I think produced in America by Remco, but in Australia produced by Grona. They came tacked on like a tape that I had, so I just remember I have like 30 minutes of like Australian commercials, and I just remember watching those, and I was like, very dated, very, very, very dated.
Well, of course.
Which is interesting, but I haven't seen anyone show a Grona version of the makeup kit.
Worn by Supergroup KISS. KISS Your Face has everything you need. Professional makeup, brushes, cream remover, even a makeup diagram. So you can look like Jean, Paul, Peter or Ace. So kiss your face, and you can feel as outrageous as you look. KISS Your Face makeup.
All right, so I guess that will wrap us up, right, guys?
Yeah.
So, we just want to point out that we'll be in Atlanta. Well, Nicholas won't be in Atlanta, but we'll be at the Atlanta KISS Expo with Vinnie Vincent on what date is it, Andrew?
January 20th.
That we're there.
January 20th.
January 20th.
2018.
And we'll have the Tom Shannon will be there, and we'll have the KISS My Wax KISS LP Bible there that will be for sale, the sets, and he'll be autographing them, and we'll be there chit-chatting. And
if you want us to sign them too, we will politely decline.
No, we'll sign if you want us to sign, but we didn't write the books, so But
yeah, so just remember, if you can't make it to Atlanta, the Rockologists, plural, therockologist.com to get your copy of KISS My Wax, the KISS LP Bible. And
less than 400 sets left.
Less than 400 sets left. So this is like a culmination of a lot of years of work for all of us. I mean, Tom did a lot of the grunt work, doing all the research, but, Jason and I helped out marketing, and it was obviously, it sprouted from the podcast that we started way back almost 3 years ago now, if you can believe it. Almost 3 years ago.
That's not true. It's almost 2 years ago.
We started in 2015. The first episode was
2015, did we really?
Yeah, 2015.
15, 16, 17.
Yeah.
Really? It was 15?
It was 2015.
Unbelievable. What the hell? Where did time go? My life.
Yeah. All these office chairs that we've just, ruined, sitting in the chairs all day, editing and doing these episodes.
Wow. That's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Well, anyway. All right. So I guess that's it. And for us three folios, I guess we'll see you on the next one.
See ya. Thanks for tuning in to Kiss My Collectibles, your source for vinyl, toys, bootlegs, and more. Visit us online at kissmycollectibles.com.